Hello, my name is Michelle, and today we're going to talk about 3 ways the narcissist breaks you while in the relationship with the narcissist, and how oftentimes after leaving the relationship you still suffer from the effects of that damage. And in the end of the video, we're going to talk about 3 ways to overcome what the narcissist did to you. Okay, so oftentimes after a relationship with the narcissist is over, whether you discarded or they did the discarding, people still do not feel like themselves. There are pieces of themselves missing, or they've been broken in certain ways. For example, the first way that the narcissist will break you is by breaking your state of mind. Now, before going into a relationship with a narcissist, the majority of people were calm, peaceful, people pleasers. Now, while some may have battled low self-esteem, some may have battled a lack of confidence, some anxiety under different circumstances. While that might be true, for the most part, they were calm people, right? But because of the emotional abuse, because of the inconsistency and the unpredictability of their hot and cold, their love and cruelty, it creates that emotion, that state of mind of walking on eggshells. And even after the narcissist is gone from the picture, that anxious state of mind doesn't just go back to being how you were before you entered the relationship. So you enter the relationship, and that's a change. There's a piece of you that is now altered. And just because the abuser is gone doesn't mean that that automatically heals. The second way that they break you, or one of the consequences to a relationship with a narcissist, is the fact that they disconnect you from you. Okay? So for so long, you had to revolve around someone else. In fact, your thoughts, your mind had to constantly be on what he or she likes, or what he or she is doing, or how they're acting. What if I do this? They'll get mad. Why are they so mad? I don't understand this. Your thoughts were so conditioned to not think about yourself, to not care about your feelings, to only care about the other person, that when you're out of the relationship, once again, that disconnect from self doesn't just spring back to how it was. It's not like a rubber band. You let it go and it goes right back to its shape. No. Oftentimes, traumatized people are afraid of their own feelings, because now you're looking at your feelings that you weren't allowed to look at for such a long time. You were never allowed to be angry. You were never allowed to disagree. You were never allowed to be tired. You weren't even allowed to be sick. So now you're seeing these emotions, and they can be extremely overwhelming because you were conditioned for so long to stifle them, or to think that if you said anything about them or noticed them, it brought bad results, so you stopped doing so. And that disconnect from self is very difficult to deal with, especially in the aftermaths of a breakup, being discarded by an emotional abuser. And the third way the narcissist breaks you is in your ability to connect with others. A narcissist can't afford having people in your life that have the ability to help you to remember who you are, to see reality the way it really should be seen. And so little by little, they isolate you, to the point that often people, after a breakup with a narcissist, they have a hard time learning how to connect again with people, right? So those are 3 ways that the narcissist breaks you. That's why I say leaving a toxic relationship is not the goal. It's not the finish line of your healing. It's really only the first step. Okay? So once you're out and you see these things in yourself, now you have to say, well, how can I go back and fix those things? So let's talk about the first way the narcissist broke you and what you can do about it. And the first way was that heightened state of anxiety. I live in the States, and the way that the States normally handles internal or emotional regulation is with pills, with medicine. And some people need that. But the truth is, if you learn the internal tools that help you to learn how to be relaxed, it can benefit you so much. For example, breathing. I know it sounds so simple. It almost sounds so simple that somebody wouldn't try it. Like, oh, give me a break. Like, that's going to do anything. Yes, it really does. When you take time to just allow yourself to breathe. You're slowing down your breath. In breathing exercise, often it's like a 4, 6, and 8 count. You breathe in for 4, hold it for 6, and you release for 8. When you're exhaling slower, it's like putting a brake on your emotional brain or your amygdala, areas of your brain that are on overdrive right now or in hyperarousal. In fact, in research supported by the National Institute of Health, it was documented that 10 weeks of practicing yoga helped people that were suffering PTSD to lower their symptoms, and these were people that didn't respond to medication. So mindful breathing, mindful relaxation, finding things that help you to relax on a regular basis can help you to break out of that anxious state of mind. Doing nothing is not going to change your state of mind. You have to incorporate things that help you to change your state of mind. And the second thing that can help you to break being disconnected from yourself is learning self-awareness. At the core of recovery is self-awareness. The most important phrases in trauma therapy are notice that and what happens next. Because traumatized people live with unbearable sensations. They're heartbroken. They suffer intolerable sensations in their gut, in their head, in the tightness of their chest. And yet they try to avoid feeling these sensations in their bodies, which only increases their vulnerability to being overwhelmed by them. Body awareness puts us in touch with our inner world, the landscape of our organism. Just noticing our annoyance, our nervousness, our anxiety immediately helps us to shift our perspective and opens up new options rather than the old automatic habitual reactions. As traumatized people, we're often afraid of feeling. It's not so much the perpetrator who at this point hopefully is out of your life, but actually their own physical sensations that become the enemy. You become apprehensive about being hijacked by uncomfortable sensations, and it keeps you frozen, and your mind shuts down. Even though the trauma of what happened or the person is in the past, our emotional brain keeps generating sensations that make the sufferer feel scared and helpless. In order to change, you need to open yourself up to your inner experience. And the first step is to allow your mind to focus on your sensation. Once you pay attention to your physical sensation, the next step is to label them. When I feel anxious, I feel it in my chest. When I feel fear, I feel it in my stomach. Noticing the emotion and noticing where you feel it helps immensely. It calms down the sympathetic nervous system so that you're less likely to be thrown into fight or flight. Research has shown that practicing mindfulness even decreases the activity of the brain's smoke detector, your alarm bell, your amygdala, and thus decreases reactivity to potential triggers. Okay, so that information was taken from a publication that I'm going to leave the link below so that you can do more investigation on that topic, okay? The third way that the narcissist breaks you and what you can do about it is how they disconnect you from other people. Now, the narcissist is so effective at destroying former relationships and also making you look a certain way in the eyes of others and making you think that that's really you. That they succeed in making it difficult for so many survivors to begin to form relationships again with other people. That's how effective it is. It's not easy after that relationship is over to just pick up and feel like you can trust people and feel like it's comfortable to be around people. It's not easy. So it's important to begin reaching out to people that were there for us in the past, that yes, the relationship may have been cut off because the narcissist refused to allow you to be close to this person anymore, but never feel like it's too late to reach out to somebody that you know really cared about you in the past, whether they live close or they live far. Having that attachment again, feeling close to people again, is definitely going to help you overcome the trauma that you've endured. And support groups are incredible. That's why organizations like AA have such success, because you're in an environment with people that really understand you. They're It's a safe environment because it's a place where you're not going to get judged and you're not going to be faced with any kind of shame. So finding support groups, whether they're online support groups or in-person support groups, but really finding a place where you feel safe and accepted to be you and talk about what you went through without being judged is huge. Recovery from trauma means that we have to learn to reconnect with others again. And this is not easy for people that are experiencing trauma because they were being abused, emotionally abused because of a relative or a significant other. Because trauma that has occurred within relationships is harder to treat than trauma that comes from maybe a traffic accident or a natural disaster. In our society, the most common traumas in women and children occur at the hands of their parents or significant others. Child abuse, domestic violence are all afflicted by people who are supposed to love you. And so that knocks out the most important protection against being traumatized. You're supposed to be sheltered by the people you love. If the people you rely on are the ones that reject you or emotionally abuse you, you learn to shut down and ignore your feelings. And because you feel so alone, managing the abuse all by yourself often causes other problems like dissociation, despair, addictions, a chronic sense of panic. So healing doesn't really begin until you realize the depths of what happened because you were traumatized by people you care about. Now, reaching out to others or becoming a part of a support system or a support group is not easy for victims of narcissistic abuse because the trauma experienced by narcissistic abuse is trauma that came from someone that you initially trusted, someone that you initially thought was going to love you and protect you. And so because that bond was broken, it's very difficult to feel that trust again. But building on that little by little, reaching out to family members that are not toxic. If you suspect that one of your family members, after learning about narcissism, oftentimes we realize, oh, my parent is narcissistic, my brother, my sister is narcissistic as well. Those are not the people you want to reach out to. That's going to cause you more problems. You want to think about the people that had your best interests at heart, that are relatively emotionally healthy, and begin to form small relationships with them that you can build on. It's scary. It means coming out of your comfort zone, and it also means oftentimes taking the initiative. But by doing so, you begin to break that isolated cage that the narcissist placed you in for so many years. Taking these steps, one at a time, at a pace that's comfortable for you, will start helping you to undo the damage that the relationship with the narcissist inflicted on you.